Ever really thought about the journey your phone took to get to you? Or your car? Or even just the can of soda in your hand? It's an incredible story, right? One that stretches all across the globe, powered by this hugely complex system we call the global supply chain. And that system, well, it affects the price of pretty much everything we buy. And right now, it's under some serious pressure. So let's start with this one simple idea. The price tag on anything isn't just a number. It's really the last page in a long, long story. A story that starts with raw materials being pulled out of the ground and ends with a finished product right there in your hands. It's the story of a massive global journey. To really get what this means, let's zoom in a bit. Just think about what goes into making a new car or even a simple beverage bottle. You need glass, you need steel, you need aluminum. And all that stuff comes from all over the world. These basic materials are kind of the first link in this giant, interconnected global assembly line that, honestly, we all totally depend on. But what happens when that assembly line, the one we all take for granted, starts to buckle? You start seeing signs of stress everywhere, cracks appearing in the system. So let's take a look at where those cracks are showing up first. Okay, so one of the biggest cracks, it's right here on our own roads. Back in 2021, the American Trucking Association said the U.S. was short more than 80,000 truck drivers. I mean, these drivers are the absolute final link, moving everything from ports to stores. Without them, the whole system just slows way, way down. And at the very same time, the cost to just move stuff across the ocean absolutely exploded. In just a year and a half after March 2020, the price to ship a single container across the ocean shot up 7 times. And that's a cost that, you guessed it, eventually makes its way down the line to us. And here's the thing, these pressures aren't all brand new. Even before the pandemic, key industries here at home were already struggling. Take U.S. aluminum production, for example. Between 2013 and 2017, it took a nosedive, dropping by 62%. Mostly because it was getting squeezed by too much production elsewhere in the world. So all these numbers, they're really just symptoms of much bigger systemic problems. We're talking widespread labor shortages, not just in trucking. You've got ports that are totally log-jammed, fuel prices that are all over the place, and shortages of everything from truck chassis to spare parts. It all points to one thing: a really complex system has become dangerously fragile. So with all this stress building up, how do economists and business leaders actually check the health of this massive, tangled system? How do they, take its temperature? Well, one of the most important tools they use is something called the Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI for short. The best way to think of it is like a monthly economic checkup. They survey the people on the front lines, the purchasing managers who are actually buying all the raw materials and parts, to see if business is getting better or worse. Now, the real beauty of the PMI is just how simple it is. It boils everything down to one number. If that number is above 50, it means the manufacturing world is growing. If it's below 50, it's shrinking. It's a really clear, immediate signal of which way the economy is heading. And lately, those signals have been, well, pretty concerning. Recent reports have shown the manufacturing sector is stuck in contraction mode. We're seeing companies pull back on production and even cut jobs, all because they're just so uncertain about what's coming next. This whole high-pressure environment is the backdrop for one of the biggest policy debates going on right now, the Section 232 tariffs. That's the tax that was placed on imported steel and aluminum. And this policy has created 2 completely different stories, depending on who you ask. On one side, the tariffs were designed to be like an economic shield, to protect our own vital industries from being wiped out. But on the other side, you have a ton of businesses who actually use that steel and aluminum, and they're worried the tariffs are just driving up their costs and causing inflation. So, if you zoom way out and look at the big economic picture, organizations like the Economic Policy Institute say the tariffs basically worked. Their analysis suggests that, yeah, they helped American steel and aluminum producers, but they didn't really have a noticeable impact on the prices we all pay for things like cars or appliances. And the people who support the tariffs, they point to some very real results. They say U.S. production in these areas stabilized, even grew. Billions of dollars were invested in new plants. And, they argue, this is absolutely essential for our national security, making sure the U.S. can make the materials it needs for defense and, looking ahead, for the green energy transition. But, and this is a big but, here's where the story gets really complicated. Those same PMI surveys, the view from the ground floor, they tell a totally different story. The people actually buying the stuff say they are feeling the direct hit, with price hikes on steel and aluminum rippling through their entire business. So here's the disconnect, right? While the big picture economic data might show a tiny impact on overall inflation, the businesses on the ground are reporting serious price pressure, new bottlenecks in their supply, and weaker sales overseas, all things they blame directly on these tariff policies. Which leaves us with a real head-scratcher. You've got two credible sources, the big picture economic analysis and the on-the-ground business surveys, and they're telling us two completely opposite stories about the exact same thing. So, how do we square that? Seriously, who's right here? Is it the broad economic models that say it's no big deal? Or is the real story the direct experience of the businesses buying these materials day in and day out? Which one is it? Well, the truth is, they can both be right. The supply chain isn't being hit by just one thing. It's getting hammered by a perfect storm of competing forces. You've got global markets being distorted by overproduction. You have huge shifts in demand from the pandemic. You have major labor and logistics shortages. And you have the effects of trade policy, all wrapped in a thick layer of economic and geopolitical uncertainty. What this all really shows us is that in our deeply, deeply connected world, the story behind a single price tag is never simple. It's a complex mess of policy, pandemics, labor, and logistics. And it leaves us with this one last question to chew on. In a world this connected, can we even really say where a supply chain truly begins or where it ends?